So let's now look at the questions that are there in the chapter The Portrait of a Lady by Kushwant Singh. The first one, the three phases of the author's relationship. We have to describe these. Describe the three phases of the author's relationship with his grandmother before he left the country to study abroad. So we know the three phases in which the relationship grew. The first phase was in the village. When he was a child, and both of them used to go to the school together. She used to sit in the temple and read scriptures, and he used to study the alphabets in chorus from the priest. The second relationship is in the city, right? Now when they moved to the city, and now the relationship changed in the fact that he no longer went to a school with her. She could not help him with studies because he went to an English school, and she did not like the fact that he was being taught all useless things according to her, like science and social science, and was not being taught religious scriptures. One day when he told her that he was being given music lessons, that was the nail in the coffin for her, and she did not like that. In order to protest, she stopped talking to anyone. And the third phase was when he went to the university. Third was the university, when they shifted to a different room altogether. So these three were the phases, and this is how their relationship progressed. In the third phase, again, the common link of friendship that was there, that was the room in which they used to stay, was broken according to the author. And now she used to just be all alone, playing all day and being on the spinning wheel, and then feeding the sparrows for half an hour every single day, which was, according to the author, the happiest hour of the day, happiest half hour for the day for the grandmother. The second one, give three reasons why the author's grandmother was disturbed when he started going to the city school. As we've already discussed in the first phase, number one, she could no longer accompany him. Then we have he was not being taught scriptures. And number three, being given music lessons. Okay, and here you can even include that she could also no longer help him with studies. Okay, so these are the three ways in which these are three reasons why she did not like. Now, the three ways in which the author's grandmother spent her day after he grew up. Again, this we've already discussed, like what was her daily routine like. So what are the three things that she used to? First of all, pray. And then she used to spin the wheel, and then she used to feed the sparrows. So these are the three things the grandmother used to do. The odd way in which the author's grandmother behaved just before she died. Okay, so this was just after the return of the author from abroad, where she played the drum. She was beating the dilapidated drum for about continuously 7 hours and singing the homecoming of warriors, that she developed a mild fever. and it was only then that she asked her family to go away from her, and let her be in peace, and let her pray in peace. Because what was the odd way in which she was behaving? She did not allow anyone to come near her, and she did not, for the first time in author's life, had he seen that there was a day in which she did not pray. The previous day, and the next day she asked everyone to leave her alone because she knew that her time has come, and she just wanted to pray the whole day. That is the odd way in which she behaved. The way in which the sparrows expressed their sorrow when the author's grandmother died. Sparrows came to pay their condolences when they saw that the grandmother is no more, and she was covered in a red shroud and was in the veranda. So there were about thousands of sparrows who came, and there was no chirping. And when the mother of the author saw that there were so many sparrows, she brought out some bread and broke them into pieces and spread them on the floor. But the sparrows took no notice of the bread, and they just quietly flew away. And the next day, the servant of the house had to sweep those bread into the dustbin. So sparrows came, they paid their condolences, they did not bother about the food, and they just wanted to be there for the grandmother in her last time. Next question. The author's grandmother was a religious person. What are the different ways in which we come to know this? There are various ways. Number one, she used to pray. She used to go read the scriptures while they were in the village every day. And number two, we have it was a daily routine for her to pray the whole day, to tell the beads of her rosary. Number three, even in the last moments of her life, or you can say before that, she was unhappy with the fact that the author was not given religious learning, religious teaching. And at last, even in the last moments of her life, she chose to pray rather than do anything else. These are the different ways in which we get to know that she was a religious person. Number two, describe the changing relationship between the author and his grandmother. Did the feelings change for each other? Now, the second part of the question is hypothetical. I mean, we cannot be very, very certain, but we can only, rely on the hints that we have in the chapter. So we'll, first try to write the first part, and then we'll move on to the second. The first part says, describe the changing relationship. Again, it is just an extension of the first question, that is, the three phases of the author's relationship. So it is in that three phases that the relationship changed. So you will first describe the three phases. There were three phases in the relationship. Number one, in the village. Number two, in the city. Number three, in the city, when the author started going to the university and they changed rooms. So these were the three phases, and in those phases, there was a very intimate relationship between the author and the grandmother when they were in the village, because they used to be together 24/7. She used to do almost everything for her, from waking him up to bathing him to making breakfast for him, accompanying him to school, bringing him back, and then again taking care of all the basic necessary needs of the author. In the city, she they started growing distant, right? Because the author was not going to a normal school; he was going to an English school, and she could no longer help him in the studies, and that is why she felt a bit lonely, and she was very very repulsed with this idea of him being given music lessons. So she grew distant there as well. Then the last common link of the friendship that was there in them was the common room that they shared. But when the author started going to the university, even that was taken away, and that was the final, uh, common link that they had, and that was broken when he started going to the university. But your grandmother accepted everything with peacefully, and she did not protest. She did not violently, say anything against anyone. But that's how the relationship changed. And even when he was going abroad, she did not, she was not emotional. She was not showing any emotions. She was not sentimental. She just kissed him, and when he came back, she again kissed him while she was reciting her prayers for the well being of the author. So, did their feelings change for each other? Is the question. So, usually we will take a positive approach when writing answers. So, of course, we'll say their feelings did not change because the author and the grandmother, although they were their relationship was evolving, their relationship was changing, but the love, the pure inherent love that was deep seated in both of them for each other, will never change. As we can see, the way author describes his grandmother in the chapter, he's paying a tribute to her existence, that and the kind of impact she had in his life, and that is why he's writing about her. And even the grandmother, despite whatever was happening to her, whatever seclusion she was being given in the house, and whatever way she had to protest against that seclusion, despite all of that, she did not stop loving the grandson, that is the author. And she was always worried about him. She was so happy with the fact when he came home from abroad, that she sang for continuously almost 7 hours, and she was so happy because of that. So the love they had, the shared for each other, did not change despite the changing relationship, despite the changing scenarios in their relationship. That's all. Would you agree that the author's grandmother was a person strong in character? If yes, give instances that show this. Of course, we do agree she's a strong character, because you can start from the village. She was all alone there. She was taking care of a grandson. She did not have her husband who had died. Maybe probably long back. So she was a single woman there, and she was absolutely, she had no trouble in taking care of the grandson there. She took care of all his needs, and when they came to the city, she was very mentally strong, because she could no longer be the same person to the grandson that she was earlier. The relationship was growing, they were growing distant because they were spending less time with each other. They did not have any common grounds. But she took all of that very very like a champ, and she did not bother anyone. She did not protest. She did not come out violently and say that whatever is happening is wrong. She accepted everything, whatever was happening, like a flowing river. She took care of. She took everything in a stride, and did not mind, or did not disturb anyone in their day-to-day life. After the schooling, when he went to the university, again she was sad. She uh, was alone. She was lonely. Despite all of that, she did not cry or show any emotions as such. All she did was to keep quiet and just spin the wheel, be praying all day and feeding the sparrows. Despite all of that, despite all what was happening to her, despite her grandson being taken away from her. So yes, she is a strong character in all these instances, and even at the last phases, in the last phase of her life, she knew exactly what was happening, and she was very very careful with her words, and she knew exactly what was happening. She knew that she did not want to be with her family, and she wanted to pray because this was the last time. She was not afraid of her death. She was not afraid. She was not crying. Even at the last moment where of her life, she was strong in her character, and she knew exactly what she wanted to do, and that is to pray. Okay, I think that was it. You can go back and keep a notebook with you when you're listening to this video. Take down some notes, and then from those keywords you can write your answers. Thank you.